Hello, thank you for joining me today. I am Karen Arnold with the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission, and I'm here to talk about the essentials for grant management. This is our Module 5 of the Keystone Historic Preservation Grant Series, and it's intended to help our current Keystone grantees manage successfully their grant projects. Covered topics that we'd like to talk about today is how to mobilize your project, deal with any reporting requirements or PHMC acknowledgments of your projects, the most important of how to draw down your grant funds, and where to go for additional information from our Grants Resource Center or PA Share. And finally, what PHMC's expectations of our grantees are. This recording is intended to help address some of your initial questions, but how to help orient you where to find those answers. First and foremost, I like you to keep me apprised of changes or additions of your staff or consultants who should be listed as contacts for either our distribution list or for access to your PA Share records for any of their future submissions. As a funder, we really want to be an active partner in your project, and in some cases, your project requires direct and frequent work with our other program areas. Our community preservation coordinators are available to assist with regional plans or to serve on steering committees. So feel free to keep our staff in mind if you have questions about any community plans, design guidelines, or county comprehensive plans that might be funded through the grant program. Similarly, if your project is an above-ground cultural resource survey, PHMC wants to ensure that any grant-funded survey can integrate appropriately with our PA Share system. We'll need to coordinate your contractor with Elizabeth Schultz to get them access to PA Share, our extant data, and make sure the necessary requirements of your data collection process integrates with our system. Also, if you're a project that is listing something in the National Register of Historic Places, we want to make sure that you're connected with our national review staff throughout submissions to make sure that that is going smoothly for you. As the grant manager, I can certainly connect you with anyone that you need on staff if your project requires that. Also, keep in mind that if you are a project that is a construction nature that will require a preliminary project review, we will need to see your final plans and specifications through PA Share. What's important is if you're utilizing other state or federal grants as match, we'll need to coordinate with our project review and the other PHMC program areas to make sure that you're in compliance with your other funding sources expectation with National Register, Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act in consulting with that program area. If by chance your project is only receiving grant funding, the submission process is slightly different and it's only managed at the grant project manager level. But we do remember that all construction works must be reviewed prior to commencement of construction to ensure that it complies with the Secretary of Interior standards for the treatment of historic properties. These plans and specifications can be submitted through your grant project through the supplement submission wizard. We'll have a quick introduction for that process a little bit later on in our presentation. And if nothing has really changed since the application was submitted, you can certainly alert me to pull those items from the application portal and create the submission on your behalf. We do ask, and it's part of your grant contract, or a grant agreement rather, that you would have to have your matching funds in place within 45 days of the execution of our agreement. And that information can simply be reported in your first quarterly report. I don't need copies of bank statements, but if you've received outside grant support, please provide the source or commitment letters as part of your quarterly reporting. And a reminder to our grantees who've received funding through the construction category, you will remember that there is an attestation in the application that the property owner was aware of this requirement. We do have a template on the website for your convenience, but you'll need to sign and execute that covenant um, with our office within 45 days of the execution of the grant agreement. Essentially, that if you're not familiar with the covenant agreement, if the property owner is agreeing that all future work will be done in consultation with the PHMC, will meet the standards, and will remain open to the public. You will need to find the property transaction record to capture the current legal property description of the parcel, and that covenant is signed before any reimbursements are made to you. The covenant requirement is non-negotiable, and all grantees must relinquish uh, the grant if they're unwilling to comply with the covenant provision. We do ask our grantees to submit quarterly reporting. These quarterly reports are due the first of the month on January, April, July, and October. You're welcome to use the calendar reminder, but I do send an email to project contacts with a reminder and a request that these are submitted by the 15th of the following month to capture full activity of the prior quarter. Please use our PHMC provided quarterly report form. I will send that out with your executed grant agreement, but they're also posted in our Grant Resource Center on the PHMC website as a fillable PDF. If you're curious about what information to include, we're interested in progress that was made within the last quarter, any changes to the project, either because of construction delays or scheduling issues, the consultants or contractors that you've engaged with, and of course your fundraising progress, especially if you're having challenges raising your matching funds. I do like to see photographs either of contractors at work, maybe some of the conditions that you've are uncovered as part of the project, or even as public events that you might be promoting or talking about your project as a whole. I do ask that you submit these even if no work was done in the prior quarter, mainly because regular updates to our grant staff is really imperative so that we can understand the project experience delays that you're having, and especially so we can anticipate if you might need a time extension if needed because of these delays. These are submitted through PA Share as a project supplement as well, and we'll explain a little bit later in the program on how to do that. All PHMC grants are required to acknowledge in some way and promote the PHMC supported their project. As part of the America 250 celebration, PHMC fabricated special project signs for all of our Keystone grantees. These will be delivered to you in the coming weeks, and I'll coordinate that delivery with your project contact. The construction category projects are required to post this sign during the active construction period, and we ask that they're on the exterior and clearly visible to the visitors to your historic site. Planning category grantees are also provided this sign because we're quite excited about this special initiative, but also please remember that your grant agreement also asked that you included specific verbiage to acknowledge our PHMC partnership on any grant funded work products. We also encourage you to promote the project and our partnership either through press releases, programming, and in your social media posts. We'd certainly appreciate it. One of the other ways to encourage promotion of your project is through our Community Initiative Awards. It's a thing that grew out of our Pennsylvania statewide plan. And each year, our office works hard to recognize the hard work and dedication of the outstanding organizations, municipalities, and fellow agencies that are doing great preservation work that certainly embodies the theme of our statewide historic preservation plan. And we do this through the Community Initiative Award. It was started in 2016 as part of the 50th anniversary of the National Historic Preservation Act. It's become an annual program for us. We have a lot of information on our website and blog posts about it. You can certainly see it. And we capture these self-nomination through our PA Share system as well in the success story. It's a little bit different than a traditional award program. We have very few rules, but we just really like to source candidates through a variety of ways. But it's easiest for you as a grantee to just self-submit through the PA Share itself and the success story. At minimum, we just like to know a little bit more about the name and location of the project, a brief summary about why you feel it's a good connection to our Community Initiative Award, and at least one photograph. We review all of the candidates in January and announce the next round of winners in May as part of our National Historic Preservation Month celebration. But probably what you're most interested about is how to draw down your grant funding, which is a little bit different than promoting your project. But complete instructions are certainly included in your grant handbook. Invoices are submitted through PA Share as a project supplement submission. And so you're certainly welcome to add your treasurer as a project contact. If you're not quite sure how to add additional people, you can alert me and I can add whomever you'd like to have access to your grant record. Each project will receive a unique reimbursement form. So if you're a prior grantee that has a form, please destroy those and follow the new form because you'll have new coding. The information that we're asking for you to support your reimbursement requests are invoices from your contractor or vendor, which includes their name, their unique vendor invoice number, the date of service, and the amount. We'll ask you to include both that of this Keystone grant share and also your local share. And we do ask that you follow the agreed upon budget line items or cost categories as well. Also specified in your grant agreement was that the Commonwealth requires automated clearinghouse payments or direct deposit to all of our grantees. So if you have an opportunity, I certainly encourage you to reach out to your vendor profile and update that banking information through the Office of Budget Vendor Management Services. And if you're not quite sure how to do that, either through the PA supplier portal, if you're considered a procurement vendor, or if you just need as a non-procurement vendor that information, please reach out to Lauren or I to get that information. Some of our grantees, particularly in municipalities, have multiple bank accounts associated with their vendor profile, and it's helpful if you alert us ahead of time which is the correct account that you want your grant reimbursement to flow to. So, one final reminder to update that profile throughout the life of your grant project should you change your banking institution or need to update your address. Really, failure to complete those causes payment delays, and believe me, neither of us enjoy those. One final thing to keep in mind is the reimbursement with the Commonwealth generally takes at least 30 days from the date of the reimbursement request as well. So you might need to plan your cash flow accordingly. We do ask that all projects complete a final report, and these are due within 30 days of the completion of your project or the expiration of the grant contract. We do, as part specified in your grant agreement, withhold the final 20% of your grant amount until this report is received and approved. Much like the other things, you can submit this through the PA Share portal as a project supplement as well. And if you're planning ahead, the things that you'll want to include is a summary of the work and any challenges or delays that you had encountered, a financial summary, which includes the original budget and your final actual costs, and a brief narrative if those changes had dramatically changed. We'll also ask for photographs of completed work if you're a construction category grantee, or copies of any grant-funded work products for review as well. We do ask for either a photograph of the posted project sign during construction, or if you were a planning grantee who might have required other project promotion as well, just to ensure that that was included, or PHMC's acknowledgement funding of their funding was included. One final reminder about that 20%, I do hold that firm, so please anticipate that this form will be required. I think there's also a section that talks a little bit about project promotion and public benefits, just so that we can really see how well you connected with your community as well, and we can report out on our grant programs connection. Where to go for more help? Things to keep in mind. We certainly try to keep as much of the necessary forms live on our contact and form section of the grants website. We also have a number of tutorials for PA Share, and you'll want to make note of its landing page here. But if you run into a difficulty, there's a dedicated help desk. But most grant questions, you can certainly either direct them to myself or Karen Arnold, or Lauren Stackhouse, who's our administrative officer who helps with the incentives division. Or you can certainly keep a copy of the grant resource handbook or our YouTube channel as well. But please don't hesitate to reach out if you're having challenges with understanding anything about your grant project. Now, I referenced a lot about PA Share, and I certainly want to spend a little bit of time of our training talking about how you integrate or interface with this system. PA Share, or Pennsylvania's Historic and Archaeological Resource Exchange, is a new platform that we developed, I think, 2021, that was really helping to integrate all of our program areas and how our external users might integrate and collaborate with our office, and how we internally can collaborate to make your process or with us a little smoother and transition. You might remember, as you were preparing your initial grant application, that you were required to provide the PA Share resource number for your property, but now you have a unique PA Share project number for your grant project. So how our grantees interact with the system is certainly, if you're a National Register nominator or project, or you're a grant-funded independent survey, you will do an awful lot of separate program submissions that will come through this. And those program areas were built to really streamline that process. If you're a construction category grant, you're going to submit your plans and specifications through this for review by the Keystone Grant Manager or me. Or if and there is a slightly different process if your matching funds require consultation under either the Pennsylvania State History Code or Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act. But all of you will use PA Share to submit your quarterly reports, final reports, grant-funded work products for review, and reimbursement requests. Only covenants are still submitted outside of the system for full signature by our deputy SHPO. One thing to keep in mind, and I want to encourage you, or make sure you're all aware, that the grant record is only accessible to those who are set up as a project contact. So additional personnel that you choose can certainly be added, but anyone who has a PA Share account will not be able to access your project unless you list them as a project contact. Obviously, there's some sensitive financial information that's included here that we don't want the public necessarily to have access to, but you can add, or if staff changes or your consultants change, we can remove people from access to your project records as well. So how to access PA Share? It has its own website, phmcpa.gov, PA Share, and it's an active website. And remember, on our main website, there's this has all of the tutorials and help districts, help systems to help you navigate and interact with it. If you already have a Keystone login that you had generated to submit your grant application, it's the same credentials. You may need to update your Keystone login to include an email address because PA Share relies on your active email address a lot with your login credentials. But if you aren't sure, you can certainly try to register for an account. It'll halt you with an error message if there's already a profile in place. I do want to discourage you from trying to proceed as a guest because, again, you won't have access to any of the information on the grant record. We only grant those who are listed as a project contact, and you have to be a registered user with PA Share. Once you've logged, so before I explain the process to submit a quarterly reports or other information, I want to take a minute to orient you to the main dashboard. You'll notice there's a gray navigation bar that allows you to view my projects or past submissions, requests or office responses. And I should note that if you're not familiar with the nomenclature of the SHPO, that's our office, which stands for the State Historic Preservation Office. You can view the project itself from the gray navigation bar listed in My Projects. And if you are listed as a project contact, the My Projects will show all of the projects that you are associated with. So if you might see some former projects that you were funded through PA Share and you're listed on it, or perhaps you submitted a historic marker nomination or a National Register nomination, you would be able to find this as well. For grant projects, you can certainly see those that the project type will be clearly listed as a grant. You might see something that's noted as an agreement that might be a previous preservation covenant, or even one that's associated with your grant project. You're listed as a project contact, it would show up here as well. And if you wanted to access it, you certainly could click the hyperlink for your PA Share on the PA Share number. So you'll be able to see lots of information on that PA Share record, but that's not how you actually submit information for our review. You would want to add things through the submit screens. And again, these items that you would submit would include your plans and specification for review, your quarterly reports, your grant work products, perhaps, or your final reports. And so to do that, you'd go back to your main dashboard or home screen and click the blue navigation bar at the top that has the choice that is to select Submit. The Submit Home allows you to submit projects of any program in our area in our office. And since your grant project was created by me, any information that you submit would be directed as a project supplement. And again, anyone who's listed as a project contact may submit to the grant file. And both the grantee and the grant manager can add additional project contacts if you need them to have that capability. So both, and you can see that from this screen, you're also able, as the grantee, if you're already one, you can add the additional project contact along the left bar or on the tile in the center of the screen. But for now, we're going to deal with the project supplement in the corner, lower left corner, or the tile that's in the lower center of the screen. So the project supplement submission wizard will open and it'll ask for that PA Share project number. And again, this is not your resource number that you included in the application, because that would be for the historic property, but you have a project. So that is listed in your grant agreement. I try to use it as much as possible in communicating with you, but that number will be a 2025 P as in Papa, R as in Romeo number. And then there's a subsequent 5-digit after that R. There are no hyphens or spaces between that number. And one final note, that the digit after the R is a number 0 rather than the letter O. So if you've entered the number correctly and you are listed as a project contact, the project supplement screen will actually open and include fields for you to update and through. You are able to add a description of what you're submitting. It can be as simple as 2025 fourth quarter report. And then there's project documents that allow you to upload PDF attachments as the actual report. You also can upload project photographs, either individual photographs here, or you can certainly collate them into a single PDF document and upload them in the document section too, if it's easier for you. And I realize that if you're a planning project, right, you might not have a whole lot of photographs to submit, but I do appreciate retaining photographs of public meetings or consultants at work. But again, I recognize that that's not appropriate for all projects. So if it's not germane, you can certainly leave it blank. Once you have all of the information attached and ready to upload, you just simply submit the blue button in the lower right-hand screen that says Submit to SHPO. I should note that the PA Share system will send you an automated email to let you know that it was submitted. And then there will be a second one sent to you once I reviewed it. So you as the user may need to log back into the system to review my comments. So finally, expectations for our grantees. Certainly, we want to be able to review and comment on your preliminary projects. So to review your plans and specifications before you start. We, in some cases, may need to ask you for additional information or perhaps to change your scope a bit to become in compliance with those standards. Remember that if you're a construction category grantee, we will ask you to file a preservation agreement or declaration of covenant. Please don't forget your quarterly reporting. They're very important. I like to know what's going on in your project. We do ask you as well to complete reimbursement requests as complete as possible. You are welcome to submit them quarterly if it's easier for you to remember to do so. If you need, because of cash flow, to submit them more frequently, we're certainly happy to accommodate those. And certainly there are instances or grantees who preferred simply to submit that reimbursement request at the conclusion of the project, and you're welcome to do that as well. But those will need to be complete before we are able to issue reimbursements to you. Don't forget that we have the opportunity and want to see that you've posted your project sign acknowledging PHMC support, and that we will require opportunity to review and comment on any grant-funded work products and review your final reports before completion of your project or closeout of your grant project. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to me either by email or by my direct phone number. I'm happy to help. I truly want to make sure that your project is successful for you. Thanks again for tuning in.